guys, and welcome back to my channel. I do not have my tripod stick attached to my camera today, so forgive me if my hand is going everywhere. I wanted to film my third installment of my how-to guide looking for a new church. Please excuse my hair. I literally did like some budget basic looking twist out that did not come out how I wanted it to, but I didn't put any products in my hair, so I wasn't expecting a lot. To be very honest, I did not feel like waking up and going to church today at all, but I think that it's very important that, especially when I'm feeling like that, is when I go, because that's when I receive the most. And most of the time when I'm not feeling like going, it's because my heart is very heavy by something that I've been struggling with through the week. And I think that even in this process of transitioning back home and I got cut short. My memory card filled up, so I had to go switch out my memory card. But on the bright side, now I'm cozy by the fire because it is freezing outside. And the rest of everything, how my third church experience went. This church is called the Olive Branch, and it is in Markham. It's about, I would say, 3 minutes away from my house, which is convenient, but convenience isn't like high up on my list of things that's important to me as I'm journeying through seeking out a new church home. So church is nice and close, which is nice. The three aspects that I always talk about, if you've watched my two other videos, are initial aesthetic and how I feel about walking into the church, the welcome atmosphere, the connection with the people. I talk about the sermon, whether or not it connected with the message, whether or not the teaching was biblically based, and the third thing that I like to talk about is praise and worship, whether I get connected with the praise and worship, and just the demographic, the people, how I was received in that way. And then I just like to round off with things that would either make me come back to this church again, or if it's just kind of like, okay, a one-off. So the first things first is when I walked into the church, it had a really nice atmosphere. The church vibe was very nice. It was very nicely decorated. It was decorated very nicely with Christmas decor. Don't know why I struggled there. I came a little bit early, so I was able to kind of situate myself, find a good seat. I sat closer to the back. The welcoming people at the door were friendly, but not overly intrusive, or didn't really kind of like go too much out of the way to find out more about me, which is fine because, you know, like I'm thinking that might be a theme for most churches. And so that's not necessarily something that I'm going to continue to talk about throughout all of the other videos. I think that just as a general consensus, like, it's difficult to kind of put yourself in a position to know everybody that's new in the church, and just kind of make the effort to kind of greet them or make them feel welcome, whatever the case is. So that'll be the last time I talk about that. I will just kind of say yes or no as opposed in regards to whether or not I felt like a welcoming atmosphere. The demographic of the church is, I would say, probably a 60-40 split of Asian and white Canadian. There wasn't too much of like a broad range of diversity, I would say, but I didn't feel like that was a huge deterrent for some reason. The praise and worship, because I got there early, I was able to experience all of the praise and worship. I thought that the praise and worship leader was fantastic. He really got into the song, and I make an effort to not really like not engage and praise, but to really kind of get a sense for the atmosphere and how everyone else is praising and going through worship. There's about 4 or 5 songs. The body or the congregation was quite I would say somber, but the leader, he animated, he really was into, you know, getting everyone in a space where they were ready to receive the message and the word. So that brings us to the next point. The lead pastor of this church was not the one preaching the message this morning, which was fine by me. It was a youth pastor, and I think that he did a really great job today. We talked about something that was very poignant, I think, going into the new year, and it was hope and fear. This is the I guess the welcome card, and on the back it had just a list of all of the things that are going to be happening at the church, and the order of the different services and what to expect in the new year and things of that nature. So I thought that this was really nice. It is a beautiful stock card, nice glossy finish. I like stuff like this that I can take home. So that was cool. He preached his message was on John chapter 13 verse 15, and I believe that he spoke about just hope and fear and receiving hope by way of believing in God and believing who God is, and with that belief you are receiving joy and you're receiving peace, and on top of that the Holy Spirit is also allowing you to receive even more joy. And so we just talked about the cyclical kind of pattern of belief, hope, joy, and peace. And he kind of really nicely tied it into the season of, just entering into a new year. A lot of people come in with all of these expectations, fear about their future and what to expect going into the new year, not really sure how to map out or plan or have a vision for where they want to be, kind of looking ahead to the future as the future and not really looking at the present and the things that we're doing now as a thermometer almost as to what our future will look like. So I really liked how he tied in the scripture into a practical way and really made it a tangible thing. He used a lot of real life examples, which I really liked and appreciated. I think that he was a really good orator, so I appreciated that. I think that the sermon was really good. Sorry for the noise in the background, by the way. I'm inside, so I can't really record in the quiet of my car. So just overlook that. Next thing that I wanted to talk about was whether or not I guess I would come back to this church. I do think that I felt welcome there. And funny enough, a very strange thing happened. Like, I just remember thinking casually, like, God, if this is somewhere that you want me to revisit, then just put someone in place to kind of even casually just say something to me. And I didn't really think of it as like a prayer. Like, it was just something that kind of crossed my mind, if that makes sense. And lo and behold, maybe not even 2-3 minutes later, some person came and tapped me on the shoulder. Now, mind you, when they tapped me on the shoulder, they thought that I was someone else. They're like, oh my gosh, sorry, I thought that you were my niece. And I was like, kind of sitting there awkwardly, like, no. And it was dark because it was during the praise time. So the audience was dark. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah. And he was just kind of standing there for a couple minutes, and then he introduced himself, and I was like, okay, well, nice to meet you. And he's like, well, it's lovely to have you here this morning. Thank you for coming to worship with us. And I was like, okay, God, I don't know if this is you being serious right now, but I don't know if I'm always all the way sold. So this is actually the first time that I had to wait around after a service. So I was waiting in the foyer for my mom to come and pick me up. And someone else now came and like complimented me on my hat. And I was like, okay, for sure, this is definitely some place that God is desiring for me to revisit, whether it be just to listen to the lead pastor or just to get a vibe of like what more the young adults look like, or whatever the case is. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that it's somewhere that I think I would revisit, just to kind of get a better sense of what's going on in this church. Now, I will say, in terms of the connection card, which is something that I tried to do at every church that I've visited thus far, none of the other churches have contacted me as of yet. I did fill out a connection card, so I will keep you updated in next week's conversation as to whether or not I heard back anything from the Olive Branch. I will say that they had a lot of cute little things at the front to kind of give away and to encourage during the season. They had these little booklets, and it says "So Loved." They had another one that had a whole bunch of writing on it. I didn't take it because they were both the same book, what I realized. And essentially it's the Bible, but only the chapter of John, which I think is really helpful for somebody who's never read the Bible before and who might just be trying to understand, who is this Jesus that you're talking about? What is his word saying? What do I gain from it? what kinds of things is God trying to tell me through his word, and not feel intimidated by a really big Bible. Now, I won't say that I've compared and contrasted this to my actual Bible to see what version this might be referencing, but I did think that it was really nice way to have a condensed version of the chapter of John, so that someone who may be new to the faith or just new to reading the Bible in general, may not even be of the faith as of yet, kind of can get their hands on something that is small and like pocketed and just, you know, it's not intimidating at all, which I really liked. So that pretty much wraps up my review of the Olive Branch. I did again really enjoy visiting this week. It is a place that I think I will visit again in the future. So hopefully all of these videos that I'm putting out for you guys is helpful for you as you enter into the new year, and maybe you're looking for a new church home. I hope that you can reference some of these things and get a sense for, okay, this is the things that I need to look for when I'm going into a new church environment. If there's other things that you would suggest or other churches that you would love for me to visit, please leave those comments in the comment section below, because again, I'm on a church tour, so I'm more than welcome and open to visiting new places. And so yeah, that pretty much wraps up this video for this week, and I will catch you guys next Sunday. Bye guys.